Welcome to AG Week, and it's an honor to be your 62nd Adjutant General. For those in the field around the world and those attending in person, I'll do a quick overview of what's in the Adjutant General Directorate, but then really I want to spend some time talking to you about some key changes going on, some things I need your help with in the field, and how I can help you. And then lastly, I'll kind of end on some things that our commandant stressed. So with that, if we could go ahead and pull up the slides. All right, so if I've seen you in the field lately, you've seen the tag talk or the tag town hall, but I think it's really important that you understand, for those that haven't received it lately, that you understand what's in your Adjutant General Directorate, because whether we knew it or not, whether you're AG or not, we're all a part of the AG Directorate from accessions to transition. So next slide. I have the distinct honor of actually having three hats. So I see it as an opportunity to either excel or get fired every day. But it's a great job. And so the TAG Directorate you're most familiar with, Military Postal Service Agency for those doing postal out in the field. Recently was at USERPAC, got to go see our Marine station out there at the Military Mail Terminal. And then, of course, our Joint Military Postal Service detachment is actually in Chicago. So around the globe, worried about postal. And then lastly, as you connect with your commanders, I'm here to support you as a physical disability agency as well. So next slide. These are all the different locations. The one I really want to talk about today is here at your Human Resources Command home, and that's at Fort Knox, Kentucky. So next slide. If you take one slide away, I would take this next slide, and this is what we call our cradle to grave slide, but this is your money slide. If you want to know what's in your Adjutant General Directorate or who to call, if it's not about enlisted assignments, EFMP, or officer assignments, or command management, it's probably within the TAG Directorate. And so really it's just to kind of make sure you know what's in your TAG Directorate and who to call. So I have a new deputy. My new deputy tag is Colonel Rob Sketch, coming out of 8th Army. And if you can't reach me, reach out to Rob Sketch. We're in the middle of each having 2 email addresses with the nice 365 mail changeover. So be patient with us if we miss something. But absolutely give us a call. Field Services Division, our new division chief there is Colonel Jeanette Martin. And so just a couple highlights there on the screen of what's in it. She is my lead for the line of effort on brownout cutover. And so I'll comment on IPSA at the end. Also, mill pay. In the future, central site functions for mill pay will transition from DOD to the Army 1 October 2024. What does that mean? That means the civilians up at DFAS, 103 of them, are going to change over DOD t-shirt to an Army t-shirt in October of 2024, and they'll be called HRC North. They'll probably end up being pulled out to a different division or directorate within HRC, but right now we house them in FSD. Next, we have the Army Service Center. Bottom line is, if someone's making a call, the veterans, we do a lot of veterans inquiries. We do a lot of records verification for the 214s and the 215s. But we also have a call center. So if you didn't know, 188 Army HRC. 188 Army HRC. And so during the height of COVID, they went to 24-hour ops. Now we're back to about 8 to 5 and a half day on Saturdays for our reserve component support and National Guard support to IPSA. But that's where you call if you want to get something into the building and you're not reaching anyone at their desk. Most people are up on Teams and we're all on email, whether they're in the building or not. Soldier Programs and Services Division is really what I call kind of the Tinker Toys for the Adjutant General Directorate. It has absolutely everything when it comes to essential personnel services. So you see them highlighted there: ID cards, mails, awards. We also do a number of the Army incentive pay when it comes to aviators, some other special compensation, your traumatic SGLI. So if you have a soldier that's having an issue and they meet the criteria to receive traumatic SGLI, meaning they can't dress themselves, they can't bathe themselves, and a number of other things for up to 30 days, they can receive up to 4 separate payments of $25,000. So if you're curious about it, check us out at Human Resources Command, look in the TAG Directorate, or give us a call. My division chief for soldier programs and services, if you need to call someone, Colonel Greg Leapart. So Colonel Greg Leapart is more than happy to help you there. Go down to evaluation, selections, and promotions. You probably think, hey, I know this is our business. EES is under there, DA Secretariat. I'm going to comment on enlisted and promotion boards at the end because we've had a lot of changes. Evaluations, the field's doing a great job. Timeliness, we're getting better at our error rate, but our evaluations are getting loaded into your file within 2 to 3 weeks at this time. So let me know if you have any issues there. And then I'll go down to transitions division. So small but mighty division, Mr. Walt Hurd, a retired colonel. I have 12 people that run that program, but they're responsible for the contract that affects 600 contractors and runs the TAP programs at your installations. We've had a number of hiccups with that contract and a number of protests, so it's quite frustrating. And so we're working with the MPDs and DHRs as we work through that. But the Career Skills Program, although they help with it, it's actually owned by MCOM. And so it's by installation. If you're not familiar with the Career Skills programs, and it's not just about officers and fellowships, this is what our soldiers are doing out in the field. There are programs by installation that you can get a list of. So check out your transition programs on your installation. They can give you that. And then lastly, of course, we have the Casualty and Mortuary Affairs Division. And so although I get to read the casualty report for, all compos, the entire Army every single morning, and that's always sad, there is some goodness within that division. If you hear in the news about when remains are found identified from World War II or Korea, or Vietnam, there's a great team within CMOD that actually gets to help with the research, coordinates with DPAA and also our team up at Dover, and they get to go brief the family to tell them about, the rest of their story as those remains are returned to probably, a second or third generation away. So it's actually some goodness out of it. With that, I'd like to go to my final slide. And this is where I'd like to spend a little bit more time. So if you haven't heard, there's been a tag sends, there's been some information posted out on Human Resources Command, and we're going to update some more. Yesterday, I just shot another YouTube tag talk and talking about the changes with the officer boards. Bottom line is you need to know any adverse information will be seen by the board. Now, I say any. It has to meet a certain threshold. Was it within the last 10 years? And last 10 years meaning when the case was closed out? Does it meet a certain threshold? So if you have a speeding ticket, you're okay, Marcus Motley. That's not going to be seen by the board. But if something that had to go to court, an investigation, your GOMARs that were sent to restricted fish is going to now be seen. So what can an officer expect? Number one, if it's something that's already been adjudicated, meaning you've gone through a promotion review board, the secretary has retained you on a list, that should not be seen by the board. It's already been adjudicated. It's not supposed to be double jeopardy. If it's something that hasn't been adjudicated, you're going to receive an email from my promotions branch, and they're going to say, please submit a rebuttal or a statement. Here's some advice. You don't need to redo the case. Don't fight the program. DOD, Congress has said we have to do this. I would recommend a 1 to 2 page, something short, there's no limit, saying, this was what happened, I own it, and this is why I deserve to continue to serve at the next level in the Army. Ask someone else to review it for you, and spell check is free. So usually you get a chuckle out of that, but you'd be amazed at what we get to see in front of the boards. So please make sure that if you receive that email and an officer or someone you mentor asks you about it, by all means, submit the rebuttal, follow the guidelines, and don't miss the suspense, because we want to be able to put your best foot forward, or your officer's best foot forward in front of the board. So that's a big change, and ask you to kind of look out for that, and look at the MILPER coming out for Lieutenant Colonel, the information in Lieutenant Colonel Army and Colonel Army MILPER messages, so you can help your officers. Next big change has been with the eval boards, the non-commissioned officer boards, and I think a number of you are probably familiar, and so I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but there's still a lot of confusion in the field. And so a staff sergeant, sergeant first class, master sergeant eval board is evaluating those ranks, providing an OML that's going to affect not just promotions, but assignments and schooling. And then to the point of how the OML is used for promotions. Once we have requirements, we go down the list in OML order for those that meet all requirements for promotion: time and service, time and grade, all PME. And then we go to conditional promotion. So if you read, there's some conditional ones out there: deployments and pregnancies. So any questions on that, please reach out to my team. I've offered a number of you, if you need an NCOPD, Sergeant Major John Williams and our team here has done a great job. They'll reach out to you, either in person, can do an NCOPD, LPD for your teams, or can do it by MS Team. So shout out, and I usually say, if you have any questions on that, you can email Sergeant Major Williams. Make sure you email the guy, Jon. The guy with the first name John really hates me, so make sure you get the right John. Move on to casualty actions. The absent unknown directive has been phenomenal. Great job by you all in the field and by your CACs at the installations. And should be putting out something soon on that on YouTube. But just to kind of let you know the magnitude of that directive, we have utilized missing over 500 and something times in the last year. And you might think, oh my gosh, we've had that many missing. No, we have that many commanders involved, and you all doing the right thing, saying, hey, let's not automatically say they're AWOL. And a number of those initially missing have gone to AWOL, have been returned to duty. We have 2 Dust One cases. Actually, one is just transitioning from Dust One back to AWOL. 1 active Dust One case right now. So if you have commanders, or you yourself have been concerned about, I don't want to get highlighted by Army senior leaders, they are thrilled with the use of this. Every time we use it, I mean, the secretary's not calling me, the chief's not calling me. You are using all the resources and bringing them to bear at your installation. So I just wanted to say great job by you in the field, and I really appreciate it. And a lot of great crosstalk between you, the CACs, and our CMOD. So thank you for that. Last thing on casualty, I can't help but always putting in a plug for, please, 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 SGLI DD93 accuracy. I know you're doing a great job with your PRR stats and the dates. I don't care about the date as much as I care about what's in it, and us being intrusive leaders and saying, who's your primary next of kin? Who is going to be able to say where your remains go, and that a soldier really understands. And pull up their SGLI and DD93, maybe during your counseling, call their primary next of kin. And I'm just asking for it because it's a legal document and I can't change it, and it's heartbreaking what I get to see some families go through, after their worst day. So please, please, please continue to press on the update and accuracy of that information. So IPSE, Loved the chief's opening comments. So take heed and what the commandant said. Um, Continue to press on data accuracy. Great creative solutions. Like I was just at USERPAC, want to give a shout out to some great work they're doing where they can show across the Pacific all the work they're doing from, 30,000 plus inaccuracies to down to less than about 10,000 and less than 5,000 affected soldiers. And it could be just a weapons qualification, a height, weight, or something more serious. But continue to press. We're in a really, really good place on pressing for data accuracy. And regardless of the timeline, this allows us to get data accuracy correct, because I will tell you on the green suitor side, we are doing the right thing. We may have some struggles on the contracting side, but they'll get through it. So I really appreciate the great hard work that I'm seeing across the field. So share those best practices and keep pressing. Training. So, the commandant mentioned, training and continue to press on that. And just like I'm challenging folks here at HRC, don't just do the bare minimum of what the order said for a certain number of trained. If you're an HR professional, if you haven't taken any of the training, regardless of how minimal it is, I'm asking you to do it. Be all in on the fight. IPSE is coming and we're really looking forward to it. So last thing I want to kind of leave you with is, shields up and leaning into the future. I'll start with the comment the commandant made about doctrine. Know your doctrine. But what I will say is that it's the foundation, but it's not going to tell you how to do your business. I get a number of questions from the field and how should I do replacements? How should I do casualty operations? I don't think that's the right question. I think the question is, what are some ways to do it? But each of you within your own foxholes, whether it's affected by PERMISI, the operational environment, your O plans, and what's happening in the fight, you have to come up, you have to think through those processes. I'm not going to give you the answer, neither will, the chief of our corps. And so it's being smart about our business, understanding our doctrine, and that helps you find ways to do it, not how to do it. So that's to my last point about leaning into the future. We are looking for a corps that is full of critical thinkers, agile, forward thinking, and not about being transactional, but inspirational and leaning forward, figuring out ways to get to yes and not bureaucratic ways of saying no. We are all HR professionals, and so I have recently asked a group of your peers, along with the commandant and Colonel Greg Johnson. In fact, I just gave General Stitt an update this morning to look at what does our AG Corps of the future 2022 to 2035 and beyond look like. And in order to do that, now that we have a people strategy, a people analytics strategy, we are looking at producing our first AG Corps strategy. So a small group of your peers has already done some legwork on that, and they're looking at our vision, our mission, our capabilities, and our values to then set an outline for that AG Corps strategy. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that that's what's happening in your Corps behind the scenes in order to keep our shields up and lean into the future. And with that, I'll pause to see if we have any questions or comments. I'll go over to Colonel Motley.
Hey, ma'am, we'll poll any questions in the room. Also on the chat box, we can see you typing in. The last entry is Glenn at 32nd AM DC. And so you can chat your questions or come to the mics in the room. Over.
Hi, ma'am. This is not a question, but this is a comment. The warrant officers are leading the way in the HR Pro training, 47% as of a couple weeks ago. I am sure they're in the 60% by now. So I challenge officers and enlisted to get to the training. That's all, ma'am.
Thanks, Chief. Yeah, great comment. Yeah, make sure that we're getting to the training. And While we're waiting for a question, Frank, I think Frank Jefferson.
Hey, good morning, ma'am. How you doing? Actually, I didn't have my hand up. Maybe I clicked it by mistake, but it's great to be recognized and great to be a part of this forum this morning. So thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay,
Mr.
so while
Teola
we're
is
waiting,
in the room, has a question, ma'am. And
all
then I
right.
think Chief Hillard had her hand up.
Hey, good morning, ma'am. So as we continue to fight through the COVID crap, and its impact on our Army, how's CMOD doing? And what are you seeing in the world of casualty reporting with COVID across the force? Over.
Yeah, great question, Tony. Thanks. Actually, just kind of provided the CG of HRC an update yesterday. And so we have lost 9 soldiers to COVID. That was reported through casualty reporting. 8 of those lost were not vaccinated. We have 47 casualty reports on COVID, meaning they hit the threshold, but unfortunately, most of them are because of Kuwait or in a deployed environment. Because unless you go to VSI or SI, we don't see the reports. But of those reports, 47, only 20 of them were vaccinated. So, I mean, based on that data, and it's not a large data pool, vaccinations are making a difference. So that's what I have on that. Its impact to, telework, we're all working through. At least in the tag directorate, though, the metrics that I'm watching, IPERMS has decreased its time in which to get things in your records during COVID. EES has decreased its time. And so we're kind of watching, some of the best practices, and we don't want to lose those.
Thanks, ma'am. We'll go to Chief Hilliard and then Colonel Glenn.
Hey, ma'am. Thank you for coming the end of the month for our AG week. We really appreciate that. I'll take a plug for IPSE. Do you still see release 3 coming on, staying online, staying on track? We are continuing our IPSE training. T3s are now at Fort Carson doing their training now while I'm here. But do you see release 3 staying online, on track, and going forward?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Chief. And I'm sure some other updates will come out. And so, full transparency. We didn't see, Army Times article is really about the timeline for soldiers moving, and that with the movement of release 3 relieving the issues we thought we were going to have during the holidays. So if you were surprised by that Army Times article, so was I. Bottom line is, I'll leave it to the IPSE team to say exactly, but this is what I'm telling my team. There may be a shift by our contractors. It's not because it's not from FMDG1, and it's not from HRC asking for a shift to the right. If there is a shift to the right in the timeline for release 3, that doesn't change what we need you doing right now. Continue the fight on data accuracy, continuing to do the training. And actually, it gets to the point of maybe we're better trained if we have, more time to do some of the training. But I'll leave it at that right now. But yeah, the rumors are out there, and that's for Army senior leaders. I'm just excited whenever release 3 comes. What we're doing inside the building, though, is getting more fidelity on, and I think, Chief, I talked to this when I was at Carson, is what is release 3 and what is it not? And the things that release 3 is going to cover, what's 3.1 going to cover, what's 3X, what's release 4. And we're working through the brownout cutover guidance. So that's what I can tell you, Chief.
Good morning, ma'am. This is Lieutenant Colonel Glenn. My question is with the Frago 5 to headquarters XOR 225-21 COVID-19 steady state, stating that the personnel refusing the vaccine could be processed for a GOMAR and separation initiated. How would that impact the strength of our force, especially with the upcoming manning cycles, both enlisted and officers?
Yeah, you broke up at a little bit at the end, but I think your comment really is about are we concerned from a manning standpoint based on it coming up, manning for officers coming open? I'm not concerned. I'm concerned about making sure that we follow a process and we're treating everyone with dignity and respect and we're doing the right thing. I've heard that comment before. I think when I was traveling at Campbell, someone made the comment of, we're going to have people just coming out, getting out of the Army in numbers. I don't foresee that. We've heard that threat before. But what we can do instead of worrying about the larger issue is to a person within our ranks, talk to them about getting the vaccine and talk to them about its impact to our readiness and continuing to do what less than 2% do. So that'll be my comment. I think, in the officer manning OPMD panel, if Colonel Johnson or his team want to talk about any concerns they have when it comes to manning, if that's fair. All right, I wanted to take the opportunity before I get kicked off the stage and the screen is, just to ask, kind of reinforce what the Chief of the Corps talked about, and it's your involvement. So in the past, these AG weeks, a lot of time it's push of information and you get to sit there and just eat it up. But that leads us to the core we have today and some of our frustrations of people just being transactional and wanting people to provide them the way, the answer. You are part of the solution, and we need your active participation in all of the panels over the next couple of days, because together we're better. Great organizations share information and there's crosstalk. Good, if you just want to be good, we can just share information. If you want to be great, we need to share it up, down, and across. So please be involved and, help make this a great AG week, whether you're attending virtually or in person. And then, just thanks for investing the time to attend this, because there's always something else we could be doing. But I think our core, and I think you are worth the investment over the next couple days. So thank you. And thank you to Colonel Motley and SSI for giving me the opportunity to speak in the forum.
Question from Sergeant Major Clark, Army G1 Sergeant Major, Pentagon.
How you doing, ma'am? Not really a question. I just wanted to kind of give some data points for Colonel Glenn's question in reference to the impacts of the mandatory vaccinations. So currently right now, Army G3 is the lead for this, but we're tracking that currently on the active component, 72% of the officers have already been vaccinated. 12% have one dose, so we obviously expect that to increase. 73% for our warrant officers, 9% have one dose, and then 60% for our enlisted force, and 11% currently have one dose. So we expect that to increase. For the total Army as a whole, 60% of our officers, 60% warrant officers, and 41% of the enlisted have been vaccinated thus far, with the new date for active component in December.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. You're always saving me.
Ma'am, currently we have no further questions. If you have nothing else.
No, and again, just thanks a lot for the opportunity, and I really look forward to participating in the panels.